Black Temple, the crown jewel of the Burning Crusade. When most people think of Black Temple, they think of Warglaves of Azeroth, Skull of Gul'dan, Cursed Vision of Sargeras, Zardoom, Torch of the Damned, among many other iconic items. When I see Black Temple, all I can think of is a mailbox full of successful auctions. Even though Black Temple is the benchmark for the most gold you can make per hour in the entire expansion, no one has fully optimized the farm. Until now.
Lock the gate, count the dead, hear our names inside your head. Black Temple, crack your seal, we take what the dark reveals.
The trash drops best in slot patterns, best in slot loot, epic
Whoa.
gems, hearts of darkness, marks of the Illidari, in addition to plenty of greens to disenchant. While this farm has been done in previous iterations of the Burning Crusade, this video is going to cover all of the different ways that you can farm without being confined to a specific group. First, I'm going to go over the prerequisites to make this farm possible. Black Temple has 9 total bosses. At a bare minimum, in order to unlock this farm, you need to defeat 5 bosses. High Warlord Nagentis, Supremus, Shade of Akama, Gurtog Bloodboil, and Reliquary of Souls. Now that you've cleared the instance up to this point, we have access to the Den of Mortal Delights. This part of the instance is the pathway up to Mother Shahraz, and the highlight of the farm. If you defeat Mother Shahraz, these mobs will no longer be available to farm. Week 1, this might be a challenge depending on your guild's raid days and if they're willing to do 2-day clear in order to take advantage of the farm. What I would recommend is convincing your raid to clear up to this point on launch day and finish clearing the instance on Monday to allow you as much time as possible to do this farm. While you can farm this as an entire guild, our focus here is how to farm this as a small group or solo for the most profit. So we're going to ignore full raid tactics in the meantime. This room has a combined total of 4 devoted stewards or ardent hosts. These patrol around the room, taking breaks in different corners and walking around the main packs of 10 mobs. You have to make sure that you look out for the Priestess of Torment and Priestess of Delight, which patrol together. Luckily, they walk all the way down from the bottom, all the way up 2 flights of stairs, so there's usually a multiple minute window where they're not in the room. They have an extremely long aggro radius and it's almost guaranteed that your group will wipe if they're engaged. For the main groups, there are exactly 5 Temple Acolytes and exactly 5 Charming Patrons. We'll get to their ability shortly. If you enjoy this type of content, please leave a like and subscribe for more farms. First, we're going to cover solo farming. This route has been covered by other videos, but something I discovered while testing it myself is that one of the previous kiting spots doesn't seem to work anymore. But maybe it has something to do specifically with the female troll model. In testing, I ended up finding a secondary spot which seems to work better and has far more recovery options if you fall. For this pull, you want to wait until the Ardent Host or Devout Steward path away from the groups of Temple Acolytes and Charming Patrons, previously known as Charming Courtesans and Temple Concubines. And once they hit around this point in their pathing, it's the perfect time to start your pull. Once your cast is in the air, you want to immediately turn around and book it towards the courtyard, where you defeated Supremus. As you're running, you want to come up this ledge if the mob is getting close to you, and you wait for the mob to get near before jumping off the ledge. This is going to give you more time and put some distance in between you. If you don't feel comfortable, you can always bring swiftness potions or a Zanza, which gives you 20% movement speed. I would recommend having your boots enchanted with minor movement speed at the bare minimum though. Once you get down to the courtyard, you're going to want to take either 2 paths. One is walking all the way around to this wagon wheel, and the other is to walk up the first part of the wreckage and jump onto this wheel and then onto this piece of wood. In doing so, the mob will have to run around up the backside of the wreckage. You're going to want to walk backwards down this piece of wood, and the mob will start pathing back towards you. At this point, you can just jump up and down onto the wood, and the mob will walk back and forth. Just make sure that you're dealing damage as you're going up and down, and just make sure that you go far enough up the wood in order to avoid the mob turning around and hitting you. The other way to do this solo would be to head towards the Halls of Anguish and take a right. This is the stairway down towards where you previously defeated Gurtog Bloodboil. As soon as you get into the hallway heading downstairs, you're going to want to hug the right side of the wall and jump onto the ledge. I would recommend popping a defensive cooldown, or at bare minimum, having full health. This mob, if it hits you, should not kill you, as long as it doesn't crit. As you can see, the mob will path up and down the stairway, just like the other pull. Something that I did have an issue with on the PTR is that sometimes the mob just doesn't path. I would strongly recommend doing the courtyard pull instead, because it is much safer and is easy to set up. As seen in previous versions of TBC, I do think that warlocks are by far the best at solo farming this. You can actually pull 2 of the hosts at once and juggle them with my new reset spot, which allows you tons more gold. Up next is a 5-man group composition. Similar to my previous video for Mount Hyjal, the ideal comp that I thought it would be would to have 2 mages, a warlock, a healer, and a paladin tank. After doing this on PTR, I felt like the tank would die sometimes just to too much damage and get stunned to death. I would actually recommend bringing either 4 mages or 3 mages and a warlock and a healer. And I would actually recommend bringing a paladin healer this time around. Mostly due to the fact that there's poison, polymorphs, and other things that just can't be avoided, in addition to having a backup bop in case things go sideways. The reason that I brought up the paladin is that the main packs have the charming patrons. The ability you need to look out for is called Poisonous Throw. This ability has a 60-yard range, has an impact of nearly 1,000 nature damage, and leaves a brutal poison which deals upwards of 5,000 damage over 18 seconds, if not dispelled. I would recommend having either a shaman, druid, or paladin healer, but I'd say that paladins are much better because they have the ability to remove polymorph. As the temple acolytes have some nasty mechanics, I would recommend not face tanking these packs. The acolytes have an ability, Love Tap, which deals nearly 3,000 damage and stuns the target for 10 seconds with a range of 10 yards. In addition, the Temple Acolytes have a second ability called Polymorph. This spell has a 30-yard range and lasts for 8 seconds. And luckily, it will not target the person with the highest amount of threat, meaning that the healer must be out of range or out of line of sight all the time. And here's a shout out to all the mages that played in Classic. Guess what? Your Tier 2 set will finally become useful again here in the Black Temple, both on Shade of Akama and here. The 5 set increases the radius of Arcane Explosion, Flame Strike, and Blizzard by 25%. This means that the mobs will never even come close to you if everybody has this in your group. There are 2 ways that I would recommend kiting these. One is taking them down towards the courtyard, like we did before in the solo polls, and stopping in the roundabout hallway right before entering the courtyard itself. You can kite these packs in circles while staying out of line of sight. I would actually recommend running Frostbite for your mages. With 3 of them, they're almost guaranteed to stay in place entirely. Technically, you could do this pull with 3 mages and 1 healer. And I just wanted to clarify that you could do this even with 1 hunter with a frost trap and multiple warlocks. In all honesty, any ranged DPS would be able to do this farm pretty well. I'm just giving you guys the best case scenario, which is why I included so many mages and warlocks in this list. If you choose not to have a mage in your group, make sure that your shaman, if you have one, is dropping Earthbind Totem, or your hunter is dropping a Frost Trap. I would recommend in this type of group composition to go all the way down to the wreckage and do the pull similar to how you do it in a solo pull. I'll be getting a lot more footage in my first week of Phase 3. I'll be showing you some more kiting options in the next few weeks. If you choose to bring a different healer along with you, other than a paladin, make sure that you bring other consumables to be able to cleanse yourself. Something mentioned in some other previous videos are the Sulfuron Slammers. You can get these from Blackrock Depths, and they actually put a damage over time ability on you, which will allow you to break the polymorphs if they go on you. These are very cheap to buy, and I would recommend doing this if you do not have a paladin healer. Due to the limited amount of time I was able to spend on PTR, I do have another method that might allow you to do this with 1 DPS and 1 healer. We'll see how that goes, and if it does work, I will make sure to make a video about it in the future. Now that we have the pool covered, let's talk about the loot. We talked about Black Temple being the benchmark. Some might even say the crown jewel for the highest earning potential in the expansion. So let's elaborate. The Ardent Host and Devoted Stewards share the same loot table. 20% chance of dropping Mark of the Illidari. 20% chance of dropping Heart of Darkness. Between a 5 and 7% chance of dropping each epic gem. 0.5 to 0.6% chance of dropping epic recipes, and 0.5% chance of dropping BOP epics. Charming Patron and Temple Acolytes also share the same loot table, with a 31% chance of dropping Mark of the Illidari, a 9% chance of dropping Heart of Darkness, a 3% chance of dropping each epic gem, between 0.7 and 0.9% chance of dropping epic recipes, and 0.3% chance of dropping BOP epics. To be super conservative, I would say that this group should be able to do 1.5 resets per hour. This comes out to 6 hosts and 75 patrons/acolytes. Because the week 1 prices are going to be extremely volatile, I'm going to give some conservative numbers averaged out. The Hearts of Darkness I'll put at approximately 1,000 gold each. Marks of Illidari, 25 gold each. Recipes, 2,500 gold each. And for each of the gems, I'll average it out to 350 gold each. Each of the epic BOPs, I'll average out at 1,000 gold, but we can remove that later, as you might not want to take the time to find people willing to buy the BOPs. But many players will be willing to pay 3,000 to 10,000 gold per item, especially Ring of Ancient Knowledge. So let's go over the Ardent Host value. Based off of the drop percentages and approximate prices I put on it, at least for the first few weeks, this comes out to approximately 395 gold per host kill, and 211 gold per patron/acolyte kill. And if we're looking at value per reset, that comes out to approximately 18,175 gold per reset. And for the grand total, it is 27,262 gold per hour. While the number will be lowered slightly if you remove the chances of selling the BOP items, it will still be over 23,000 gold per hour. And like we said before, the Black Temple isn't considered the crown jewel of TBC gold farming for no reason. In conclusion, I would recommend to any guild to get ahead of this opportunity and plan ahead. I know many people will be upset that I'm putting this information out there, but as Classic Plus might be just around the corner, I am hoping this will allow people to enjoy the game to its fullest while it's still around. I'll be sure to circle back around after I've confirmed if you can do this with the 2-man group that I had mentioned before. And if you guys could do me a huge favor, I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love to reach that breakpoint in order to get monetized. I'd really appreciate it if you could drop a like, subscribe, and share the video if you have a chance to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.